Konnichiwa. I'm Keiko Nakamura. I'm 72 years old, and I want to tell you something that took me most of my life to truly understand. In Japan, we have a concept, ma. It means negative space, the emptiness between things. Most people in the West think emptiness is a problem to be solved. We Japanese understand it differently. Ma is not absence. Ma is where life actually breathes. I didn't always live this way. When my husband Hiroshi and I moved our family from Osaka to Sao Paulo in 1987, I carried everything with us. Boxes of dishes, bags of fabric, my mother's lacquerware, my grandmother's silk scarves. 40 years of accumulated memory packed into a shipping container crossing the Pacific Ocean. After Hiroshi passed, after my children built their own lives, after I finally stopped running a household for 6 people and started living alone in rooms that echoed, I had to face what I had been avoiding for decades. The stuff. All of it. Waiting. I tried hiring professional organizers. Twice. Both times I ended up with prettier bins and the same heaviness in my chest. They organized my clutter. They didn't touch what was underneath it. So I went back to what I knew, Japanese philosophy, the wisdom my mother taught me, the traditions I had half forgotten while building a Brazilian life. And I found 5 secrets that changed everything. These are the secrets professional organizers never share. Not because they're cruel, but because if they shared them, you wouldn't need as many sessions. Today, I'm giving them to you freely. Secret number 1, Kancha, the gratitude release. Professional organizers tell you to ask, do I need this? That question never worked for me. Because when I looked at my mother's lacquer bowl, the one she carried from Kyoto, the one she served New Year's soup in every January of my childhood, the answer was always yes. Of course I need it. It's my mother. It's Japan. It's who I am. The real question isn't whether you need something. The real question is, have I fully honored what this object gave me? This is Kancha, gratitude so complete that it releases you. Here is how you practice it. Pick up an object, any object you've been avoiding. Hold it with both hands. That matters. Both hands, the way you'd hold something precious. And speak to it. Out loud if you can, silently if you must. Say, thank you for what you gave me. I received it. I remember it. I release you now. When I did this with my mother's lacquerware, the full set, 12 pieces I had never once used in Brazil because they felt too sacred to touch, I wept. But something shifted. I kept 2 bowls. The ones with the small chip on the rim from when she dropped one and laughed about it. The rest I gave to a Japanese cultural association in Sao Paulo, where they would be used, seen, touched by hands that would appreciate them. I didn't lose my mother. I finally let her arrive somewhere she could be loved. Professional organizers skip this step because it takes time. It's uncomfortable to sit with. But without Kancha, you're just moving things from one pile to another. With it, you are completing something that has been waiting for years. Try it today. Not with everything, just one object. The one you've been walking past and trying not to look at. Pick it up, both hands. Thank it. See what happens. Secret number 2, the conversation your children are afraid to have with you. Here is a number that will sting, and I'm going to say it anyway because someone must. 70% of adult children do not want their parents' possessions. I know how that lands. When I asked my daughter Yuki, which of my things she hoped to keep someday, she got very quiet. Then she said, gently, with enormous love, "Mama, I don't have space. I'm sorry." My son Kenji lives in a small apartment in Tokyo. He travels constantly for work. He said, "Can you photograph the things? I want the pictures, not the objects." This was not rejection. This was honesty. I had never given them permission to offer me before. Professional organizers know this reality. Many of them don't name it directly because the conversation can be painful. So instead, they suggest, box it up, label it, let your children decide later. And then you die with 80 labeled boxes, and your children spend 3 grief-soaked weekends making decisions they weren't prepared for. This is not a gift. This is a burden wrapped in good intentions. The second secret is this: have the conversation now, while you are healthy, while there is no urgency, while it can be done with laughter and stories instead of tears and time pressure. Invite your family for a meal. After the meal, walk through your home together. Ask them directly, "Is there anything here that holds meaning for you? Tell me the story of why." You will be surprised. One of my daughter's most treasured possessions is a small wooden kokeshi doll, barely 10 centimeters tall, that she played with as a child in Osaka. It had been in a box for 30 years. I nearly gave it away 3 times. She cried when I handed it to her. She said she had dreamed about that doll. For everything your family doesn't want, make a plan together. Donate it somewhere meaningful. Give it to someone who will actually use it. Document it digitally. I now have a beautiful photo album on my tablet of every significant object I've released, with a small note about its story. The memory lives, the object moves on. The freedom of this conversation cannot be overstated. Once I knew what my children actually wanted, I could stop keeping everything just in case. I could start making real decisions with real information. Secret number 3, mono no aware, and why your grief is not a problem. This is the one professional organizers protect most carefully. Are you ready? Clutter is not a storage problem. It is an unprocessed grief problem. Every senior I have ever spoken to, every one, has a category of objects they cannot touch. For me, it was Hiroshi's things: his reading glasses, his watch, the small notebook he carried in his shirt pocket where he wrote down words he liked. In Portuguese, in Japanese, sometimes both languages side by side, because he loved the way meaning shifted between them. 5 years after he died, those items were still exactly where he left them. A professional organizer once suggested I pack them in an archive box with proper labels. I understand why she said it, but it was completely wrong for me. Packing them away wasn't processing the grief. It was hiding it more neatly. In Japanese aesthetics, there is a concept called mono no aware. It translates roughly as the bittersweet awareness of impermanence. The cherry blossoms are beautiful because they fall. The grief and the beauty are not opposites. They are the same feeling. When I finally sat with Hiroshi's things, really sat with them, not to organize them, but to feel what they held, I understood that I had been afraid. Not of losing him. I had already lost him. I was afraid of feeling how much I had lost him. The objects were a wall between me and the full weight of his absence. Here is what I did. I chose 3 items to keep in visible, honored places. his watch on a small wooden stand near my desk. One photograph of him laughing, taken at a beach in Florianopolis in 1994. His notebook, which I now write in myself. New words, new languages, continuing something he started. For the rest, I held a small private ceremony. I made tea. I sat with each item. I allowed myself to feel everything it carried. Then I released it, some to our children, some to charity, some simply let go. I didn't do this in an afternoon. It took 3 separate sessions over 2 months. That is okay. Grief doesn't move on a schedule. What professional organizers don't tell you is that the breakthrough doesn't come from better systems. It comes from finally letting yourself feel what you've been managing around. Once you do, the objects lose their power to hold you frozen. You can make clear decisions. You can move. What category of objects has you frozen? Name it, even just to yourself. That naming is the beginning. Secret number 4, wabi-sabi and the space you're actually living in. Here is a question I want you to sit with for a moment. Are you living in your current home? Or are you living in a museum of previous versions of yourself? When I looked honestly at my apartment after Hiroshi died, I saw a family home. Set up for 6, dishes for 12, chairs for 8 around a table where only I sat. 2 spare bedrooms full of objects from stages of life that were complete. My children's childhood, my career as a seamstress, the large social life we had when Hiroshi and I hosted community events for the Japanese Association every month. Those stages of my life were real. They were beautiful. They were finished. Wabi-sabi is the Japanese acceptance of transience and imperfection. Nothing lasts. Nothing is finished. Nothing is perfect. This sounds melancholy in translation. Lived from the inside, it is deeply liberating. It means you are allowed to let one season end so another can begin. The 4th secret is this: redesign your home for the life you are actually living right now, not the life you used to live or the life you think you should be living. I don't host community events for 40 people anymore. I have small, intimate dinners with 4 or 5 close friends. I don't need 12 place settings. I need 4 beautiful ones. And mine are Japanese ceramic, irregular, imperfect, and I love them completely. I don't have children sleeping in spare rooms anymore. I converted one into a sewing room where I continue the craft I've practiced since I was a girl in Osaka. The other I kept simple and beautiful for when Yuki visits from Rio. Here is the practical process. Walk through every room of your home and ask, who uses this space? How often? For what purpose today, not historically? Write the answers. Be honest. Then ask, if I were designing this room for my actual life right now, what would I keep? What would I change? You don't have to renovate. You don't have to buy anything new. Often, transformation means simply removing what belongs to a previous chapter, so the life you're living now has room to show up clearly. When I cleared the family dining setup and replaced it with a smaller round table near the window, the one I drink my morning tea at, where I read, where I now do my correspondence, that corner became the heart of my home. It serves my real life. Every morning, I sit there and feel at home in a way I hadn't in years. Secret number 5, Ma as a daily practice. guarding the threshold. The fifth secret is the one that determines whether your transformation lasts or collapses within a year. Studies show that most people who declutter return to the same accumulation patterns within 18 months. Professional organizers know this. Some rely on it. They teach you to organize what you have. They do not teach you to stop what's coming in. Here in Brazil, I have noticed something. There is tremendous generosity in this culture. Beautiful, warm generosity. Neighbors offer things. Friends ask, "Can you keep this for a while?" Family members assume you have space because you are retired and live alone. And because I was raised to be gracious, because I did not want to be rude, because I thought perhaps I will need this someday, I said yes, constantly. I became the keeper for everyone around me. This is a very common pattern for seniors, and it is nobody's fault. But it is something you must consciously stop. That principle of empty space I mentioned at the beginning, is not a condition you achieve once. It is a practice you maintain daily. The empty space in your home is not waiting to be filled. It is doing exactly what it's meant to do. It is breathing. The fifth secret is becoming a conscious gatekeeper of your threshold. Here is how. First, identify your specific accumulation pattern. Mine was social obligation, accepting things to avoid disappointing people. Yours might be emotional purchasing when you're lonely or bored. It might be sale items bought for a future version of yourself who never materializes. It might be inheriting objects from friends who are also downsizing. Name your pattern specifically, not, "I buy too much." Why do you buy? What need is it actually serving? Second, create your personal threshold questions. Write them down. Put them near your front door if you need to. Mine are simple. Does this object serve my life as it is today? Am I accepting this out of genuine desire or social discomfort? If this enters my home, what does it displace? Not just physically, but in terms of my attention and energy. Third, and this is the most powerful tool, practice the 48-hour pause. Nothing non-essential enters your home without sitting in reflection for 48 hours first. I keep a small notepad near my entrance. If someone offers me something, I write it down. I sit with it for 2 days. Most of the time, by day 2, I know clearly the answer is no. Occasionally, the answer is a clear and joyful yes. Either way, the decision is intentional rather than reactive. When I mastered my threshold, something unexpected happened. My relationships actually improved. Because I stopped saying yes when I meant no, the yeses I did give became real. My friends know that when I accept something from them, I genuinely want it. That means something now. It didn't before. What these 5 secrets together create. Let me tell you what my home feels like today. When you walk in, there is space to breathe. There is light. There is a small ikebana arrangement near the entrance. I learned ikebana from my mother in Osaka, and I practice it still, one of the quiet joys of my later years. There are objects I love displayed where I can see them. There are empty surfaces, deliberately empty. My sewing room is organized and functional. I am working on a quilt made from fabric I've collected over 40 years. Pieces of Hiroshi shirts, pieces of fabric my mother gave me, pieces I bought in markets in Sao Paulo over the decades. It is my ongoing conversation with everything that mattered. My kitchen has 4 beautiful ceramic bowls, 4 plates, 4 cups. When Yuki visits, we use all 4. When I am alone, I use one, and I find that singular bowl on a clean table to be quietly, completely beautiful. I fall less. I worry less. I clean in half the time. I find things immediately. I wake up in the morning and the first thing I see is a room that makes sense, that reflects who I am now, not who I used to be or who someone else expected me to be. Most importantly, I am not afraid of my own home anymore. That was the thing I had not admitted for years. I was afraid of it. The weight of everything accumulated, every unmade decision, every object holding a question I hadn't answered. It was exhausting to live inside. Now it holds me. Now it supports the life I am actually living at 72, in this specific season that is mine. It took time. It required sitting with difficult feelings. It required honest conversations with my children that I had been avoiding. It required learning to say no with warmth and without guilt. It required grieving Hiroshi fully enough to stop using objects as a substitute for that grief. None of that is easy. All of it is possible. You don't need a professional organizer who will rearrange your belongings and leave you with color-coded bins. You need to understand why the clutter is there, what emotional function it has been serving, and how to make decisions that align with who you actually are at this stage of your life. These 5 secrets, Kancha, the honest family conversation, Mono no Aware, Wabi-sabi redesign, and Ma as daily practice, are not organizing techniques. They are a different relationship with your possessions entirely, one that serves you rather than burdening you. I would love to know where you are in this process. Which of these 5 secrets speaks most to your situation right now? Or, which category of objects in your home have you been walking past and trying not to look at? Leave your answer in the comments below. I read every one. Until next time, Ma is not emptiness. It is possibility, waiting quietly for your life to fill it. Arigatou gozaimasu.